Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. I am your host, Maria Angelova, creator of the Angelova Method, an integrative approach to mind and body connection. The Angelova Method redefines your success equation to include a healthy body and a healthy mind. Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. Hello, rebels. We have yet another treat for you today, and that is connector and author Anna Megrelishvili. Did I get that right, Anna? I've been stressing about that last name. Yes, welcome, Anna. So great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you.
Yes, Anna. And I do have to say, we have met recently, and you guys, Anna is a powerhouse and has such an inspirational story. And I love that she said yes to being here, because we all have doubts, we all have fears. And I think Anna's story is such that, yes, there is a way. If you want to find a way, yes, you can find the way. So I can get emotional right here. So Anna, before we dive into all the things that you do, because you do a lot of things, let us get to know you. Who is Anna? Give us 3 words, maybe a little bit of a backstory behind each word to who Anna is, the true Anna.
All right. Oh, 3 words. That's tough. Okay. Definitely connector. My gift is just kind of seeing how people, businesses, organizations can collaborate together, and I connect those. I would say Christian, because my faith is a big part of my life now, and my journey and everything that I'm doing in my business and personal life. And I think my 3rd word I would say is a friend. I think I am a friend to many people, and give my love and whatever I can to people in my life. And I'm really proud to be a good friend to them.
Okay. So we can take on each one of these words and continue with it. I'm going to pick the middle one that you said, and that's Christian. And here I'm just going to open to whatever religion you're picking to be, right? I'm going to take it more of the context of spirituality and being spiritual and being connected to a higher power, force, spirit, whatever you would like to call it in your context.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about the importance or how you got to spirituality. You come from Eastern Europe, same part of the world that I do. And my time, and you're actually younger than I am, religion was not something that was allowed. Religion was actually, you could get in trouble if you went to church or if you practiced any kind of religious traditions. I do have to say, like, I personally have not studied the Bible because of how I grew up, right? As I got on my journey, 100%, my journey has become very spiritual and very connected to, God, universe, whatever you would like to pick. Your story is, it's profound. I started reading your book yesterday, and do have to say there is a lot of things I can relate to. And those of you who, you guys are only listening, the book is Finding Courage to Change. And I can relate to a lot of the ways in which you grew up in Eastern Europe. I cannot relate to the trauma that you went to. Talk to us a little bit about your journey and how your journey evolved to embrace, spirituality, to embrace God, to embrace Christianity, and how you leverage that into what you do today.
Absolutely. So I actually have been an atheist most of my life. So that surprises a lot of people, especially when they meet me now and learn about what I do, which I'll talk here in a little bit. So until I was 33 years old, I really didn't practice any religion. I really didn't want to believe in anything. Honestly, if I can say, I was angry with God because of my childhood trauma. I was thinking, well, if God exists, how did he allow all these horrible things to happen to me? I was an innocent child, right? So fast forward. So I have a pretty unique story. So when I share, like, I don't want people to think, oh, I should be expecting the same thing. I think God is very creative. Creativity comes from him. And so every person's journey is going to be different. So I'm just sharing my journey of how I came to faith and what role it plays in my life now. So I woke up in the middle of the night in October of 2020, unexpectedly, wide awake. And I've never prayed in my life, ever. I don't know why in that particular time, I just started praying, and prayer is like, I didn't even know how to pray. So it went something like, God, if you exist, what's the purpose of life? Like, what's my purpose? I just was seeking the answers. And suddenly I heard a voice and freaked me out because it gave like this weird instructions. And I'm a highly logical person. So I was like, did I dream this? I was like pinching myself. And I was like, no, I'm wide awake. And this feeling, I was like, no, something happened. But then I decided I was not going to deal with it until the morning. So I went to sleep. Next morning, I woke up and I was like, no, something did happen to me. So I called to work and I say, I can't come in today. So I don't go to work. Instead, I follow the instructions. And the instructions were as follows: go to the store, buy the supplies, and make 24 bags of lunches. Okay. I do that. I put it in my car and I start driving downtown Atlanta because I knew there were people struggling downtown, living on the street. Every time I would see somebody who looks like they're struggling with homelessness, I would stop and say, hey, would you like a bag of lunch? Would you like some lunch? If they say yes, I would give them that bag of lunch. So about an hour in, I'm driving and suddenly I see there is this group of people hanging out in the street, and I counted them and I had exactly the number of lunches left. And so I thought, well, that's weird. So I take the whole bag, walk over, give them all out, thinking, okay, I'm done. I followed the instructions. I was about to get in the car. Suddenly, this lady calls me and she says, hey, honey, come over here. So I walk over and I say, yes, can I help you? And she says, I have a gift for you. And in my head, I'm thinking, a homeless woman wants to give me a gift. I should be giving you something beyond the lunches, right? Like, it's just like, sounds so bizarre. And next thing I know, she gives me this little bird made out of clay. It was a little sparrow. And on that sparrow was written, now in God's hands.
Ooh.
And suddenly I had this like, just emotion took over and I burst into tears. I get in my car and all I could say in this repeat phrase is like, God is real. God is real. Like, he's talking to me. So I was like, okay, I go home and I go on Amazon and I order my first Bible off of Amazon because I was like, I need to figure this out. What is this?
What's going on?
What's going on, right? So I started reading the Bible. And of course, like, if you ever started reading a Bible on your own for the first time, you don't understand anything. What is going on? It's just the foreign language, right? So I kid you not, the way that I found my first church was on Google search. Just the way you find your best restaurants, I just Googled best churches in Atlanta and went to church based on the reviews. So I started going to church for a while. And then, as you go, you understand more and more. Eventually, you join the Bible study. And so you eventually
Get into the swing of things.
get into this. Yeah. So eventually, fast forward almost a year later, I was ready. Like, I understood what it meant to be a follower of Jesus and what it meant to be a Christian, right? Because it's a decision that you shouldn't be taking lightly. And so I was baptized, and it was by my host father. When I came from Eastern Europe, I had a host family who hosted me. He was a pastor. They prayed for me for years to come to faith, and nothing was happening. And fast forward over 10 years later, he was the one baptizing
So
me.
he had no influence over anything that was happening in your life. Okay.
Not at all. It was a completely out of nowhere. God just called me. I don't know why in that moment, but it just happened, right? So, I got baptized. And so eventually, and my unhappiness with my previous life started growing. I started seeing that some of my decision making was just not bringing happiness to my life. And I was very unhappy with my career at that point. So I quit my job. I quit my job, and that's a story I hear often from people who go and seek their purpose. I had a
Can
very,
relate.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yep, I was hinting at you. I just had a very successful corporate sales career, was making tons of money. Like, people thought I was crazy for quitting. And I went to this year sabbatical, right? And I said, I'm going to find my purpose in this year. Like, and I want to grow closer to God and understand what my purpose on this planet is, right? Because I do believe that each of us comes with certain gifts that we are meant to use. So through lots of traveling, I went to like 12 countries. Eventually, I stumbled across this practice of silent retreats. So it's an interesting aspect that not many people have experienced, but I highly recommend. So think of going somewhere. So I went to this monastery in Kentucky, and for 5 days, I didn't speak to anybody. Nobody spoke to me. There was no cell phone reception. You really had your meals prepared at certain time, and you had flexibility whether you wanted to go or didn't. Nobody ever said anything to you, right? And think of a last moment, like think of last time you've walked into a room and nothing was expected of you.
Mhm.
That doesn't happen, right?
No.
That is what you will experience when you go on silent retreats. It's this almost like all this load of every day is taking off of you for just a little bit. And all that I was expecting was just to commune with God, right? And just pray and really practice and seek the answers. So the book that you just showed, I actually wrote in 2 days at that monastery. So it's
Finding courage to change.
Finding Courage to Change. And the title came on the way back from the monastery. The cover that you see came in a dream. So it really felt like started having this really close relationship with God, where he was really just participating in many aspects, and if not all aspects of my life. And it's beautiful because suddenly you feel this love and guidance and just groundedness. Part of my everyday self-care routine is that I do spend an hour of studying the Bible, praying, meditating, because it really just, if I ever skip it, it just feels like my day is hectic. But giving that time and really studying makes me a better human being. I'm a lot kinder and more patient and gentler with people, and I love them better than I ever have been. I mean, I literally feel like I'm a brand new person since this journey of faith have come. And I know it's a long answer, but so important because, through faith is what I found my purpose to be and what I'm working on right now.
Once again, Anna, before we started recording, I told you that there is so much of your story I can relate to. And, my story, God showed up in a different way. And it was through me connecting to my intuition, quieting within. You talk about the meditative retreats. For me, it was that hour of silence and really being tuned to myself, to where I could connect to my intuition, to my desires, to where I could say, you know what? All right, let's go after this thing, which, at the time was a fitness facility, a Pilates fitness studio. And as you said, it was a very unconventional. I could not explain it, like you said, you're very logical. I'm a finance major. I have undergraduate and graduate degrees in finance. So, numbers tie, reconciling numbers, like that used to be my world. And suddenly people were like, but explain to me. And I'm like, my intuition told me I should quit. Like, that's it. I don't have a better explanation. And yes, it was scary. Yes, it was uncomfortable. yes, it didn't make sense. However, it was the best thing, one of the best things I have ever done in my life. And I can also relate to you in terms of being purpose driven. It is such a different type of, I would say before was existence. I say now it is purposeful living, like really embracing the day.
100%.
And you also talked about your daily routine, which is, exactly what I teach people. You have to create a routine, whatever it is for you. For you, it's studying the Bible and praying. For me, it's like movement. Whatever it is for you. Maybe it's 30 minutes of dancing, whatever rocks your boat, something that you do to fill your cup, so that when you're fuller, when your cup is full, you can show up to the entire world, to every single person who is around you, as such a better, kinder, gentler, supportive person, versus if you're, the way we are taught to live, like frantic, which seems to get worse and worse. And we lack that purpose. We lack that intent of how we show up. It makes me sad. And I do have to say, this is not a criticism. This does not come from a place of judgment. We don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
We only know what we know, right? So if we exist in that way, that's the way we have known our entire lives. I mean, I made my change at 39, and I had no idea it is possible. I didn't even know that there is a possibility to live so differently.
That's right. Yes. And I think, it is part of your journey to share your story, as it is mine, to encourage others. And what you call intuition, I call the Holy Spirit, right? It's that helper, that voice inside of us. And what you described is really stepping in faith, trusting that voice, that it is that wisdom inside of you telling you what you're meant to do. And I truly believe that every person comes to this life and on this planet with a specific purpose. But for some reason, we just don't slow down enough to find what it is, right? And so unless that comfort zone becomes so uncomfortable for people, they just don't quit. They don't step out of whatever is expected of them. But the thing is, like, I don't come again with criticism either, because society puts pressure on us, our family puts pressure on us, right? There's so many layers of things. So it's a very complex decision, and it's not easy. But I hope that hearing stories of people who have done what we've done encourages you to think about what is it in your life that doesn't serve you and you're unhappy about, and try to change it.
We interrupt this episode with a very special announcement. Please join us for a wellness retreat in Bali in April 2024. Inner Alchemy, the art of living fully. For more info, check episode description. Yeah, I am 100% along with you. I do believe that every single person, and I tell my clients, you're not here to take space. You have a purpose. Be brave enough to step into your purpose. Like yesterday, I was talking to a client, brilliant woman, absolutely brilliant. And the way she was talking about herself, I just had to pause her and ask her, I said, when are you going to step into the brilliance that you are? When are you going to claim your power back? And, her eyes got watery. Because we're so used to it's so much easier to beat on ourselves than to give ourselves credit for the steps, for the experiences that, we're growing through. And I think another great point you made, a lot of people come to me, I'll be curious to hear about you, when they're at that point where life is so uncomfortable that change is almost like a must, because the urgency is there. How much better would it be to step into that before you have to?
Yes. And this is, I want to kind of put a cautionary for people. If you're one of those people right now who's struggling and is unhappy, this is what ends up happening if you reach the boiling point without healthy way of coming out, because I've seen it. I've seen it where people do just act out, right? And it could be just they blow up at work, they end their relationships in a very bad manner. And it's sometimes it has nothing to do with specifically the job or the relationship. It's just they reach that boiling point and then they just snap, right? So
Yep.
you want to make sure that you avoid that. So before you get to that point, if you're feeling like there's this unhappiness growing, right, seek people like Maria, like me, who can encourage you, right? Give you that example. Listen to motivational podcasts and books and just
Yep.
anything that encourages you to really dig deep inside of you, because all the answers are truly inside of us. We just sometimes don't slow down enough to really tap into it, right? And so
Yeah.
silent retreats is one of the things that I encourage everybody to do, because it's just there's so much wisdom within us, but we don't even spend time to get to know who we
Motivated.
are and who we are, right? Like
Yeah.
I only now realized how deep I am inside, and like it's fascinating to really learn who you are and understand your patterns of behavior and why you act the way you do. And frankly, I was quieting a lot of my gifts because of our Eastern European upbringing, right? We
Yep.
were taught, do not stand out, be the same, kind of just kind of don't rock the boat, those kind of expressions. And so if you have this light inside of us, right, that wants to shine, and you feel like you're different than everybody else, like I felt, I kept quieting myself. I kept making myself smaller than I am, until that moment where I decided, no, this gift was given to me by God, and it's my privilege to have this power, and I want to share it with everyone.
I feel for you. And I do have to say, throughout my life, I was that kid. I was like the mastermind. I always had a brilliant idea, and it was something mischievous. I mean, that can be a whole podcast episode, but I would come up with these great ideas, or I thought so, and we would somehow get in trouble, and then I would blame it on my younger brother. And somehow my parents never believed that. And even when into school, I was very studious, like my teachers loved me, but I was like, I had high energy. Like I wanted to be loud. I wanted to be expressive. Like my mom says, I think I was like 4 or 5, and like in the bus, at like peak hour, I started singing a patriotic song, and she was like, everybody in the bus was applauding. Like I was that kid. And then as I got into corporate, it was like, you're too passionate, you're too energetic. So, and I tried to fit in the best that I could, instead of, I gotta tell you, I love my job. I get to be loud. I get to encourage people. I get to use bad words if you need to. I get to laugh. I get to be myself. And in the process, I get
Right.
to change people's lives.
How amazing.
Right. And
Mhm.
it's like, I realized it. And to what you said, Anna, I am, very highly educated, such as, like honor student, highest honors, blah, blah, blah. At 40 years old, I was like, wow, I don't know who I really am, because I was so buried under societal expectations
Yep.
of who I should be, of how I should fit in, of what I should do, of how I should behave. And it's like, no, like the secret life is on the other side of fitting into the box. And it's
That's,
uncomfortable to step out. And you mentioned, like, if you're unhappy, yeah, that is a very great sign for you to pause, like really pause and ask yourself, what's off? And be
yeah.
honest with yourself, right?
Yeah. And
And
and often it is about, people don't have purpose and they're unhappy with their jobs. And so this is a good question to ask yourself. So this is something that was asked of me, and I had to pause to ponder. And I hope that you will pause and ponder. Imagine that you log into, so just when you close your eyes, imagine how you log into your bank account and suddenly you see that there's $200 million sitting in your bank account. How would you change your life? What would you do differently? Okay. When they asked me and I paused, I said, there's nothing I would change. The only thing that will be different is that I will achieve my goals a lot faster because I have all that funding. Okay. And that is how I knew I found exactly what I meant to do. And there's nothing else, because I would do this for free, even if I was a multi-billionaire. Okay. But I can guarantee that most of you listening probably will not say the same thing. But the thing is, you should be able to. So the
Mhm.
whole point of everything that I do is to encourage that we all are meant to find exactly what we want to do, and we would do it for free even if we were multi-billionaires.
Yeah, there is a great book, The Anatomy of Spirit. I don't know if you have heard about it or read it, but there is one piece in there that really struck a chord with me when I was reading that book. And the author said, we all prostitute ourselves for money. And when you really pause and think about that, how many people are out there doing something they're completely miserable with? They don't like what they do. They don't like their boss. They don't like the industry. They maybe have moral conflicts or value conflicts with the way their company is run, but they stay there just because of the perceived security and perceived stability,
Right.
and perceived safety, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, I completely get it. It is
Oh,
scary.
me too.
When I was
Trust me.
quitting, so one of the things that I've done, and I think might be helpful for you all if you're considering, changing whatever aspect in your life. It doesn't have to be a job. It could be personal life,
Relationship.
right?
Yep.
Any relationship. So obviously I wrote down my goal. And so you need to kind of see like, what is it that you're unhappy about and what you want to change? So that's kind of question one. Question two, write down a list of worst case scenario, what will happen if you, let's say, quit your job, right? Which is scary. I wrote down, I'm going to be homeless and I'm going to, not be able to eat, and all like everything you're scared about. Let that fear just pour on the pages of paper. But then your last question is write down best case scenario of what can happen if you took this leap of faith.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, when I looked at that list a year later, what I thought best case scenario didn't come close to the life I'm living right now. It's so much better and so much more than I ever expected. So I'm just saying, sometimes we as humans, even myself, have limiting beliefs,
100%.
period. Yeah. So we are our own jailers in our heads. So let's figure out how to break out of our own jails and just live the life that we were meant to live.
100%. Just yesterday, I was talking to a client. We were talking about a particular scenario, and basically her approach was, I cannot. And I said, okay. I said, let's pause that for a second. Now let's take that same scenario and put that I can head. Because when you say I can, now you're going into a solution seeking behavior versus
Right.
you just tape it up and say, well, that's it, right? And Anna, I 100% agree with you. The life I'm living now is, I could not even imagine it only 7 years ago. It hasn't even been that long. But I was just opening a Pilates studio, local Pilates studio, right? And now my mission and my purpose is so much bigger than me. And it honestly just pulls me along out of the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is no longer something I seek, because I'm
Right.
excited to serve the world and really change the world. I mean, some of my friends laugh at me. They're like, "Ooh, you're going to change the world." I'm like, "Watch me. Yes, I will." you know?
I use that same phrase. Like, I think women like us, when we become bold, we just say that.
Yeah.
That's what I say. I said, I'm here to change the world, and I'm going to leave my legacy in this world, and I'm going to leave it a better place than what I want it found. Yeah, absolutely. But imagine, like, let's magnify this, right?
Yes.
Like, let's grow this kind of society
Movement.
where
Yes.
you have all these people that seek what their purpose is, and they feel this way, that they're here to change the world, not just to live to earn the paycheck and retire at 65, right? Like, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
sometimes comfort zone is not so comfortable.
And something else that I meant to say earlier, and it's exactly to the point that you just made. It's great to have the material things. We all want them, right? The better car, the better house, whatever it is that drives you. But I want to remind you that if you don't fix the inside, it does not matter what's on the outside. We see it all around the world, right? People who have all the fame, the money, the whatever, the fancy cars, and we see what happens to them with mental health issues and the loneliness and all of that, right? So you have to start inside, regardless of who you are, regardless of what state of your life you are. Seek inside to find the best outside.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And again, don't have the limiting beliefs that just because you quit your job and you start something different, that you have to have material, like you just have to be poor. Who told you so, right? You can be successful doing whatever is it that you meant to do. Like, I just know I was earning a lot of money, but my sphere of influence was a lot smaller than it is now a year later, right? Like a year and a half later. I just know now I'm interacting with powerful people who are changing the world and doing amazing things and learning so much from them. Like, I used to be the smartest person in the room, and you don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be learning, and that's where I am now. Like, I am with this people who are doing amazing things, and I'm growing. And yeah, it's just like nothing that I thought ended up how it is. Like, it's just so much better. I feel like I'm living somebody else's dream, you know. It's just me.
It's yours. It's the
Yeah,
real you dream.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So it's really amazing. So truly encourage you to think, you know, those 3 questions, write down the answers, and trust me, like, just take that leap of faith.
I love it. Anna, what is your definition of rebellious?
So I thought about it, you know, because of your company. And I was like, I think a lot of people, when they come to that word, associate it with negative. And I was like, and I thought about, like, what is it for me? And I was like, you know, I always thought of myself as rebellious because I never went the same path as most people. And it wasn't the easiest path. The rebellious doesn't mean that you're going to have an easy life or an easy path or anything, but it does mean that it is full of adventure and happiness, and, well, sometimes downs too, you know.
I mean, that's part of life. Let's be real.
Exactly. But I tell you what, it's never going to be boring. That's for sure.
Just ask my husband.
Yeah, so that's for sure. I think rebellious for me is just really being creator of your own path.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, creator of your own path. Oh, and that goes so beautifully with everything we just talked about.
Right.
Anna, such fantastic energy and conversation. Anna, where can people find you? They have questions. You do a lot of networking. You host a lot of networking events.
We didn't even
tell
get
us, how can people, you know, get connected with you? I mean, you're a connector,
Yes.
a connector of people who are trailblazers, of game changers, you know, like, how can people connect with you and learn more about everything that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I created this organization specifically for people to really come and meet each other, to cultivate that environment of really just professionals who want to grow and really change the world in the best possible way. So if you go on our website, www.cpofatl.com, you can find all the information about all the upcoming events we have, and the organization name is Christian Professionals of Atlanta, and you can Google and find us that way as well. You know, you can send us an email through that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, and we're going to post all of that information with the episode so that you guys can find Anna easier. Anna, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for the inspiration. I feel my energy elevated based on this conversation. Rebels, I do hope you feel equally inspired, elevated, and just a little bit more courageous to make that step in whatever aspect of your life this is. If you know of anybody who can benefit from that info, share the episode, you know, spread the word, and let's make this a movement contagious. Let's spread courage. Let's spread growth. Let's spread passion and purpose. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. Anna, thank you so much. You guys, do not forget to stay rebellious. We will see you next time. Stay well.
Bye.
Did you enjoy the conversation? Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Want to redefine your success equation to include a healthy body and a healthy mind? Check out our website at rebellious-studio.com.